Yeah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have Leinster Rugby in the interview room. Head coach Leo Cullen, team captain Johnny Sexton, and James Ryan. So as discussed, please ask for the microphone. So first question, please.
Johnny, just from your perspective, being out on the pitch, one of the crucial moments might have been just before half-time when you guys had that attacking ruck on the halfway line and just decided to keep playing. I know that tactic worked against Toulouse, but ended up costing you guys that try just before half-time. What was the thinking out on the pitch at the time?
Our thinking at the time was to stick the ball on Billy Vunipola, who was standing on the 22, and try and win the ball over his head and try and get a 2-score lead before half-time. Obviously, when you kick the ball as close to their 22, you don't want to concede a penalty, and then you don't want to concede another one and be defending a 22 line out. So your decisions are as good as they are in hindsight. We made a ballsy decision when we were 3-0 up to go for a scrum and not take 3 points. And obviously it's a great decision because we score. It's not a good decision to box kick it when you cough up a 10-3 lead. But that period just before half-time and that period just after half-time where we had maybe 2 or 3 chances to score. That's how it felt anyway when we were in their 22, pounding away at their line, and we got so close to their line a couple of times and we didn't take advantage of the overlap, or we coughed up a couple of offloads or turnover on the deck. And obviously that 20-minute period before and after half-time was crucial in the end.
Leo, can you just give your reflections on?
Yeah, we're obviously very good at. We pulled up outside the ground there, and you see the sea of blue support. So we're good, obviously, for all the players, everyone that travels to the game. I thought it was a great occasion out there. I thought our guys started the game really well. Created lots of opportunities. Built that lead. Everyone's going to talk about the period either side of half time because that's when obviously Saracens score some points and we give up the advantage probably that we had built. But there's so many different moments in the game, even what Johnny's saying, we create lots of opportunities. You just need to make sure you nail the chances. We're up against a very, very good team. You see the size of some of those Saracens guys. They're a big physical team with lots of quality. And as we've seen on countless occasions over the last few seasons, when a team is trying to chase the game against them, it becomes very difficult because they're so aggressive in the middle of the field, and they're very comfortable defending. And putting a squeeze on teams. So I thought they did that really well. Probably strangled us then in the last 20-30 minutes once they had a lead. There's some big calls at various different stages of the game, which we probably missed out on, and that's ultimately how we've lost the game. We're gutted. We'd love to have sitting here with a more positive outcome, but full credit to the players. I think the way they've applied themselves. The way everyone has worked behind the scenes to make sure we're in good shape at this stage of the season. So just need to dust ourselves off now. We talk about so many different parts of the game, but we just need to try and move on as quickly as possible, really, because we have a huge game now against Munster on next Saturday.
James, you seem to have the upper hand at the end of the first half. So what was it like to only be 10-0?
Sorry, say it again.
You seem to have the upper hand at the end of the first half. So what was it like to only be 10-0? As opposed to ahead?
It makes kind of a small difference coming into half time. But as Johnny mentioned, hindsight's great. And when they got that score before half time, we backed ourselves to go again. Fortunately, we turned the ball over and they got a score. Ideally it would have been going in with a bigger lead, but that's the way it goes. And I think post half time we made little mistakes, coughed up possession in important moments as well.
Johnny, given the physicality of the match, could you just tell us how difficult it was going to be to keep 14 men going against Saracens and that particular style that they have?
obviously, look at the sin bin. We'll have to look at it again. He said we were offside, but I haven't seen it on the video. We probably felt it was a knock on a couple of phases before it off a kick. There's a couple of those calls where even I put up a ball in second half, and he says we've knocked it on. I thought it was a knock on the other way, and he says they checked both of them. But yeah, when you go down to 14 against them, it's very difficult. And then obviously we had a scrum, and we tried to hold it with 7, and then we put 8 on, and didn't seem to make that much of a difference. So obviously that scrum is a huge point in the game. And look, they won those big moments that we speak about. Maybe I'll look back at it and I'll have a different story for you on Monday when I look at it. But the way I felt was that moment just before half time and the moments after half time where we didn't capitalise on great try scoring opportunities. And they're the small margins, and they took their opportunities, especially when we were down to 14 men. And yeah, they're the things in hindsight that you'd love to change, but you don't get a chance to.
Leo, was there any frustration about Maro Toji's hit on Rob Kearney in the second half after he'd had a yellow card in the first half? Bit of campaign.
Yeah, I think they looked more probably at Sean Maitland, I think, is the one they were looking at. So, listen, they're very experienced referees that are out there. Well, obviously, refereeing Jerome Garces and his 2 AORs as well. So, there's so many moments in the game. Like, ultimately, Saracens probably capitalised on the chances that it created slightly better than we did. So, we're gutted. We don't want to blame anything, because we always want to look at ourselves first and make sure we try and can control everything as best we possibly can to give best account of ourselves. So, there's lots of learning for a lot of our guys from the game. How you play this type of team that really tries to suffocate you. And what our version of playing pressure rugby is against them. So we probably didn't quite get it right today. But again, it's tough out there. And there was some big moments that we just didn't quite get. But like the referees, there were so many different decisions in the game. Incredibly hard game to referee. 2 teams unbelievably committed, going out at each other. But yeah, you might ask the referees all those other questions, I think.
Johnny, where did that rank for you in terms of physicality? Because it seemed like a test match at times out there.
Probably better off asking James in terms of the physical stuff. Yeah, it was ferocious. It was test match stuff. We knew it was going to be, and one thing I'll say is I'm unbelievably proud of every one of us, the way we fronted up. We never took a backward step. There was times where we weren't missing any tackles, but we were conceding maybe half a yard, and they're very good at what they do, and they try and steamroll you, and at times they did that very well. But like I said, it's a big regret when you'd love to go and play the match again. You don't ever want that to happen in a final. You want to sort of have no regrets, and we'll look back at some key moments in that, especially start of the first half or second half, where I just felt we had the upper hand and we didn't quite capitalise on it.
Johnny, what gives you belief you can get back to this stage of the competition again next season?
Well, you saw for large periods. I think. I don't think it's arrogant. I think we are overconfident that we've been the 2 best sides in Europe, and we met at a quarter-final stage last year, and I think obviously we had home advantage that day. Today, neutral venue, and they just got the upper hand. So we feel that we're close to the top. Obviously, you don't get to a final if you're not near the top, and we'll just take lots of learnings from it, I think, and I think we'll bounce back.
Leo, Saracens outmuscled you in the last 15, 20 minutes. Did they bring anything that you didn't expect?
I don't think it's that I think we know what to expect, but they're big men, very, very big men. Like, you stand out in the tunnel there, and you see the size of obviously Billy Vunipola, Maro Toji, Will Skelton in particular, and we don't have access to that many types of players. And they wore us down for sure, yeah. But they we've seen it a lot, where Saracens just get their nose in front, play pressure, pin us down, and they just squeeze the life out of teams. So for us, like our guys, I thought they fronted up unbelievably well. Stuck in so many collisions, were dominant a lot of collisions, particularly early in the game, with some of those big men running at them. So, but it does take its toll for sure. I thought the Saracens bench came on and did well. I thought Vincent Cock in particular, thought he provided a lot of energy, considering he was on after 30 minutes, thought he carried very, very strongly. Scrum was good as well. They probably just had the upper hand on us in the last 20 minutes, where probably in the first half I thought we had a little bit of dominance. But again, it's just such fine margins in these games. Saracens were the better team on the day.
James, can you give an insight into that physicality that we spoke about earlier? And is it too simplistic to draw parallels with what England did to Ireland in the Aviva earlier this year?
I think it's probably as physical as it gets, from what I've experienced anyway. It's definitely test match standard. Some of the collisions were big, as we knew they would be. I don't think they physically dominated us by any kind of means. I think we had patches where we were strong in that area, and so did they. So it was two big strong packs, I think, that went toe to toe, and I think they got the upper hand today slightly. Credit to them. I think they took their chances and they deserved it.
What about the England comparison?
What about? Yeah, I mean, they were physical, just as England were. Strong set piece. Obviously, Billy Vunipola makes a difference. In terms of comparisons, two strong packs.
Yeah, James, is it the same? Is it too simplistic to do that? Like, you also played England in a World Cup under-20s final a couple of years ago. Is it too simplistic just to say their power game is something you can't reach to, or can you see that you can get to them and you can beat them, or how do you look at it?
I think so too. I think so. As I said, I think they're a very strong pack, and they deserved the win today. But we had periods in that game where we had the upper hand. We got a great scrum at that stage in the first half, and we kind of got a rumble on. We scored a few phases later. So I don't think there's much difference there. They have some big bodies, and as Leo mentioned, it takes its toll. We have some sore bodies in that moment.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks to Leinster, and best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks, guys.